Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, we'll be discussing about the ETF versus mutual fund, and we'll discuss like which is better between ETF versus mutual fund. Okay. So usually what happens, like what everyone does is like first of every month or 30th of every month. So they'll set the date and the amount will be deducted on a monthly basis from their account, and it will be directly transferred to the fund house. Okay, that's how everyone does a SAP on a monthly basis, and they'll set for like 10 years or a 15 years. So every month it will be deducted from their account. Okay, irrespective of the market movement, so it will be deducted automatically. Correct. But most of them don't look into that. There are two main points, which is expense ratio and the exit load. Okay, so I'll explain the difference between expense ratio and the exit load, and I'll show you how it will make a big difference over the long term as well. So when it comes to expense ratio, so expense ratio is a fee charged by the fund house. So to run the like fund house basically, so there will be a charges by the fund house manager, so employees charges. So it will be calculated accordingly. So usually it will be charged on the every SIP what you're doing it. So usually you can see that if you're doing a SIP for 10,000 or 20,000, when the units getting allotted, so you can see that amount will be 19,995, 19,990. You can see the difference, right? So that's called as a expense ratio, where the fund house will be deducting from the SIP amount itself. Okay, so whereas the exit load is a one time charges the fund house will be collecting during the when you redeeming the units, like when you sell any mutual fund units. So there will be a like charges like 1% or a 2% will be charged, so based on the fund house. Like there are few fund house will be charging only if you exit within a year. So that depends on the fund house to fund house. All right, I'll show you in the SAP calculator, so how it will make a huge difference over the long term. Let's assume that you have done a SAP for 20,000 over the period of 15 years. Let's assume that the rate of return is 15%. So when you calculate, so you can see that the total gain is 87 lakh 27,300. Okay, from the invested amount of 36 lakh. Let's assume that 1% is a exit load. Let's assume that we'll make it into 14%. From 87 lakh, so you can see that 77 lakh. It's almost a 10 lakh drop. It's a huge difference actually. So right now it might sound very like 0.5 or a 1% or a 1.5%. But if you look into the longer term perspective, it's almost 10 lakh value actually. It's going to reduce when you have a exit load. Okay, so to avoid that, so as I mentioned to you regarding the ETF. So ETFs are, as I mentioned in the previous video as well, so exchange traded fund. Okay, so all the index like small cap, mid cap, multi cap, like auto sector, IT sector, all the sector has their own ETF. Okay, like ITBs, bank Bs, PSU bank Bs, small cap, etc. Okay, so I'll just show it in the Grow platform. Let's assume that HDFC small cap 250 index, right? So here you can see that, so when it comes to the expense ratio and the exit load, expense ratio is 0.20. Okay, this is the case of ETF. Okay, 0.20. So whereas when it comes to the same mutual fund, you can see that expense ratio is 0.66% for the small cap index. Okay, and the exit load is again 1%. Okay, so which I had explained to you and which I had showed in the SAP calculator as well. Okay, so this will make a huge difference when you calculate for the long term, as I mentioned in the SAP calculator as well. So better, like you can make a like difference as well. And when it comes to choosing the ETFs, okay, so and one more advantage of investing via ETF is you can put a limit price in the ETF, which you can't do it in the mutual fund. I'll explain it how. Whereas, for example, if you invested a 5,000 amount today, okay, that NAV will be calculated by the price of end of the day based on the market closing. It won't be calculated on the, like for example, if the market has seen a downfall at the beginning, later a day it has been recovered, right? But at the end of the day, when it's showing a NAV called net asset value, it shows the end of the day value for the mutual fund. Okay, whereas in the ETF cases, so as soon as the market correct, if you are investing it, so if the market shown the recovery as well, you can see that gain as well, which you can't see it in the mutual fund. Okay, because you can only see it at the net asset value at the end of the day value. So like, and when it comes to ETF strategy as well, so I had explained you in the previous video, so like how one can plan a complete monthly strategy through ETF. So if you didn't watch the video, I'll place a link in the description. Do watch that video. I had explained in detail how we can select the top 5 ETFs, how we can diversify it completely. You can do watch that video as well. So I hope it's clear about the difference between ETFs and the mutual fund. Okay, and how we can show a huge impact with the 1% or a 0.65%. And the conclusion is, like for example, if you're watching the market once in a month, or like 15 days once, so you can do watch the market, like how the nifty is performing, how the small cap fund is performing. So you can do what, for example, this month if the nifty has not performed well, so you can do follow the buy on dip strategy from the ETF, right? You can do buy it on that day, particularly whichever the day market crashed. Of course, when it comes to index, over the long term it has to go up. Short term you might see the correction, so that it's a good chance to accumulate the good number of ETF units. Okay, so if you do a proper like SIP, irrespective of the market condition, it will be deducted on that day itself, right? If the market is going up or down, irrespective of that, the SIP will be deducted on that day itself. So it will not make a huge difference when it's the long term. So you can see only the 12 to 15% gain over the long term if it's a good fund house with the good rate of return over the long term. But whereas in the ETF strategy, so you can do make a like good buy on dip strategy. Like whenever the market falls, you can do accumulate more units by investing in the downfall, so that you can carry that, and you can do follow the same for the years together, so that you can see the difference in the investing in the mutual fund versus investing in the ETF, so that you can see the difference as well over the long, and better you can take a call, so whichever you're okay with that, so to watching the market once in a while, or if you don't want to watch that market irrespective of the market, you're happy with the SIP return, then you can go with the mutual fund. Okay, so like, this all about the ETF versus mutual fund. So thank you so much for watching, and do subscribe my channel, and I'll see you soon with the new video. So till then, take care, bye bye.